The council chamber was full. Every seat was taken. Thousands of Valari had come to watch the decision that would change their history forever. The air was thick with tension and the clicking of nervous mandibles. Do-Yun stood in the center of the chamber with Somin and Ji-Woo. He was still injured, still hurting, but he stood straight and tall. Today was too important for weakness. The High Council sat on their raised platform. 12 of the most powerful Valari, representing different regions and interests. They had been debating for hours. Now it was time for the final vote. Tova stood before the council. She had spoken for almost an hour, presenting the case for alliance with humanity. She talked about the Devourer threat. She talked about the benefits of working together. And she talked about what she had learned from watching Do-Yun fight. Now she was finished. The decision was in the hands of the 12 council members. The first counselor spoke. He was old and his shell was gray with age. I have heard the arguments. I am not convinced. Humans are weak. Allying with them will only bring the enemy to our door faster. Clicks of agreement came from some parts of the chamber. The second counselor spoke. She was younger, with bright decorations on her shell. The threat is real. If we do not help humanity now, we will face the Devourers alone later. I vote for alliance. Mixed reactions from the crowd. The debate was far from decided. One by one, the counselors spoke. Some supported the alliance. Some opposed it. As the votes were cast, Do-Yun kept count in his head. 6 for, 5 against. One counselor remained. The last counselor was named Barak. He was the leader of the warrior caste, the most traditional part of Valari society. His opinion carried enormous weight. Barak stood slowly. He was not as large as Korak, but he had the bearing of a warrior who had fought many battles. I have served the Valari people for 60 years, he said. His voice was deep and commanding. I have fought in 12 wars. I have killed more enemies than I can count. I know war. I know warriors. The chamber was silent. Everyone waited. When I first heard about the humans, I laughed. Soft creatures hiding in metal shells. What could they possibly offer us? Our warriors are stronger, faster, better in every way. We did not need weak allies. Do-Yun felt his heart sinking. This did not sound good. Then I watched the fight in the arena. Barak's eyes found Do-Yun in the crowd. I watched a human who should have been dead stand up and fight our champion. I watched him take blow after blow and refuse to fall. I watched him win a fight he should have lost. The chamber was absolutely still. And I realized something. We Valari have always believed that strength comes from the body, from hard shells and strong muscles. But there is another kind of strength, a strength of the spirit, a strength that makes a creature fight when fighting is hopeless, a strength that refuses to accept defeat. Barak walked down from the council platform. He crossed the chamber floor until he stood directly in front of Do-Yun. The old warrior looked down at the scarred human. You have this strength, Barak said, and I believe your entire species has it. This is not weakness. This is something that we Valari lack, something we need to learn. He turned back to face the council. I vote for alliance, not because we are doing the humans a favor, but because they are doing us one. Fighting alongside creatures who simply refuse to die will make us stronger. It will teach us things we could never learn alone. The vote was final, 7 for 5 against. The alliance was approved. The chamber erupted in noise. Clicks of celebration mixed with clicks of anger. The decision was controversial. Not everyone agreed, but it was done. Tova raised her hand for silence. The council has decided. From this day forward, the Valari and humanity are allies. We will share technology and knowledge. We will train together. And when the time comes, we will fight together against the Devourers. She looked at Do-Yun. Captain Park Do-Hing, you came to us in a crashed ship with broken armor and an injured body. You asked for our help, and we laughed at you. But you showed us something we needed to see. You showed us what humans really are. Do-Yun stepped forward. Every eye in the chamber watched him. Hi, Commander. I thank you for this alliance. But I want you to know something. You are not doing us a favor. We are not weak creatures who need protecting. We have fought the Devourers for 3 years. We have lost worlds, lost ships, lost people we loved. But we are still fighting. We will always be fighting. His voice grew stronger. The Valari bring strength and technology that we need. But we bring something too. We bring 10,000 years of learning to survive against impossible odds. We bring a spirit that has never accepted defeat. We bring the stubbornness of a species that looked at the stars and said, "We will go there," even though we had no right to dream so big. He looked around the chamber at the thousands of Valari watching him. Together, we will not just survive. We will win. The chamber was silent for a moment. Then Korak stood up from his seat. He began clicking his mandibles in a slow rhythm. Other Valari joined him. More and more, until the whole chamber was filled with the sound. Do-Yun had learned enough about Valari culture to understand. This was their form of applause. They were honoring him, honoring humanity. Tova placed her hand on Do-Yun's shoulder. "You have changed us," she said quietly. "Things will never be the same." "Change is not always bad," Do-Yun replied. "No, it is not." The next few days were busy. Human and Valari officials met to discuss details of the alliance. Technology was shared. Military strategies were planned. Ships were prepared to return to human space with the good news. Do-Yun spent most of his time healing and teaching. True to his word, he began training Korak in human fighting techniques. It was strange to watch the giant alien practicing movements designed for smaller bodies. But Korak was a good student. He listened carefully and worked hard. "Why did you agree to learn from me?" Do-Yun asked one day during training. "You could have been angry about your defeat. You could have hated me." Korak stopped practicing and thought about the question. Among Valari, defeat is shameful. A warrior who loses is supposed to feel shame forever. But when I woke up after our fight, I did not feel shame. I felt something else. What? Curiosity. I wanted to understand how you won. I wanted to know why you refused to give up. I wanted to learn the thing that made you different. Korak clicked his mandibles. And I thought, if I can learn this thing, maybe I can become stronger than I ever was before. You do not feel angry? I feel grateful. You showed me that there is more to being a warrior than I knew. That is a gift. Do-Yun smiled. When he had come to this world, he never expected to find a friend among the aliens who laughed at him. But that was what Korak had become. A friend. The day came for the human delegation to leave. A Valari ship would take them back to human space. It was faster and safer than their crashed vessel. The entire council came to see them off. Crowds of Valari filled the spaceport. No one was laughing now. They looked at the humans with something like respect. Tova met them at the ship entrance. "This is not goodbye," she said. "This is the beginning." "I know," Do-Yun replied. "We will see each other again. Probably sooner than either of us would like. The war." "Yes, the war." Tova nodded. "When the time comes to fight, the Valari will be there. You will not face the Devourers alone. That means more than you know." Korak came forward. The giant champion looked awkward, as if he was not used to emotional moments. "I will continue practicing the techniques you taught me," he said. "When we meet again, I will show you how much I've improved. I look forward to it." Do-Yun extended his hand. Korak took it gently. "Fight well, human." Survive well, Velari. Do-hyun, So-min, and Ji-woo boarded the ship. As it lifted off and flew into the purple sky, they watched the alien world grow smaller through the windows. We did it, So-min said. There were tears in her eyes. We actually did it. We did the first part, Do-hyun corrected her. The hard part is still coming. I know, but for the first time in months, I feel like we have a chance. Ji-woo was standing by the window, watching the stars. Captain, what you said in the council chamber about humans refusing to accept defeat, do you really believe that? Do-hyun joined her at the window. The stars were beautiful. Somewhere out there, the Devourers were destroying worlds. Somewhere out there, humans were dying. The war was far from over. I believe it, he said, because I have seen it. Every time humanity faced something that should have destroyed us, we survived. Every time the universe told us to give up, we kept going. That is who we are. But what if one day we face something we cannot survive? Do-hyun thought about the question. It was a fair question. Nothing lasted forever. Not even humanity. Then we will go down fighting, he said. We will make the universe remember that we existed. We will leave a mark that cannot be erased. And maybe, somewhere far in the future, another species will find what we left behind. They will see our cities and our art and our stories. And they will say, here was a species that never gave up. Here was a species that faced the darkness and refused to look away. He looked at Ji-woo with steady eyes. That is what it means to be human. Not winning every fight. Not living forever. Just refusing to give up, no matter what. Fighting until the very end and beyond. Ji-woo nodded slowly. I think I understand now. The ship jumped into faster-than-light travel. He thought about his home colony burning. He thought about his sister dying. He thought about all the battles he had fought and all the scars he carried. Do-hyun woke up in a soft bed. Real soft, not like the hard floor of the room they had been given before. This bed was made for comfort. This bed was for honored guests. He tried to sit up and gasped in pain. His whole body felt like one giant bruise. But the pain meant he was alive, and being alive was always good. The room was beautiful. Crystal walls glowed with soft light. Strange plants grew in corners, filling the air with a sweet smell. Through a large window, he could see the Velari capital stretching out below. The door opened, and Ji-woo rushed in. Her face showed relief when she saw him awake. Captain, you are finally awake. We were so worried. How long was I unconscious? Do-hyun asked. 2 days. The Velari doctors worked on you. They said they had never seen a body with so much damage still functioning. She sat down next to his bed. They also said you are crazy. Do-hyun laughed, then stopped because laughing hurt. That sounds about right. The door opened again, and So-min entered. Behind her came Tova, the High Commander of the Velari. He is awake, So-min said. She was smiling. For the first time since they crashed on this world, she looked hopeful. Tova walked to the bed and looked down at Do-hyun. Her insect eyes were different now. Before, they had been cold and dismissive. Now they held something like respect. You have caused quite a problem for me, human, Tova said. I apologize, Do-hyun replied. What problem? The council was ready to reject your alliance request. After your fight with Korak, they cannot reject it so easily. You have made them question everything they believed about humans. Do-hyun tried to read her expression, but Velari faces were difficult for humans to understand. Is that a bad thing? Tova was quiet for a moment. Then she made a clicking sound that Do-hyun was beginning to recognize as Velari laughter. Not mocking laughter, but genuine amusement. No, she said. It is not a bad thing. Change is difficult, but sometimes it is necessary. She pulled a chair close to the bed and sat down. It was strange to see the High Commander sitting like a visitor instead of standing like a ruler. "I want to understand your species better," Tova said. "Will you tell me about humans? Not the things we can learn from watching. The things that make you who you are." Dahin looked at Soman. This was supposed to be her job. She was the diplomat. But Soman nodded at him to continue. "What do you want to know?" Dahin asked. "Start from the beginning. Your home world. Your history. How you came to be what you are." Dahin thought about where to start. It was a big question. Thousands of years of human history to explain to an alien who thought humans were just weak creatures in metal shells. "Our home world is called Earth," he began. "It is a small planet with land and water and air. When humans first appeared, we were not special. We were just another animal trying to survive." "But you survived," Tova said. "We almost did not. Many times we came close to dying out completely. Ice ages, famines, diseases, wars. Again and again, nature tried to kill us. But we kept finding ways to live. How? You have no shells, no claws, no great strength. We have minds," Dahin said. "And we have each other. Early humans learned that alone, they were weak. But together, they could face anything. A group of humans could hunt animals much larger than themselves. They could build shelters against the cold. They could share food when times were hard." Tova listened carefully. Her eyes never left Dahin's face. "We learned to use tools. First rocks and sticks. Then metal. Then machines. Each generation built on what came before. We turned our weakness into motivation. Because we were not strong, we invented strength. Because we were not fast, we invented speed. Because we could not survive alone, we built civilizations." "But you also fought each other," Tova said. "We have records of your wars. Millions of your own kind killed." Dahin nodded sadly. "Yes, that is also part of being human. We are capable of great kindness and great cruelty. We can build beautiful things and terrible things. The same creativity that let us make medicine also let us make weapons. The same cooperation that built cities also built armies. This confuses us," Tova admitted. "Among the Valari, we fight enemies, not each other. A species that wars with itself should destroy itself. We nearly did. Several times. But somehow, we always stopped before it was too late. Somehow, the part of us that wants to survive was always stronger than the part that wants to destroy." Jiwo spoke up. "Captain, maybe tell her about the Great Crisis." Dahin nodded. The Great Crisis was important. It was the moment when humanity finally grew up. About 300 years ago, our planet was dying. We had used too many resources, created too much pollution, changed the climate until our home was becoming unlivable. It looked like the end. "But you survived," Tova said. "It was becoming a pattern. We survived by working together. For the first time in our history, all of humanity united against a common threat. We stopped fighting each other. We shared our knowledge and our resources. We made sacrifices so that future generations could live. It took 50 years and the efforts of billions of people, but we saved our world. And then you went to the stars. Yes, once we learned to work together, nothing could stop us. We spread across our solar system. Then we invented faster-than-light travel. Then we met other species." Dahin's voice became heavier. "And then we met the enemy." Tova's expression changed. This was the part she knew about. This was why the humans had come to her world. "Tell me about your enemy," she said. Dahin was quiet for a moment. The memories were painful. "We call them the Devourers. They came from outside our galaxy. They are not like any species we have ever encountered. They do not communicate. They do not negotiate. They simply consume. We have heard reports, Tova said. They are destroying your colonies one by one. Yes, they have weapons and ships that are far beyond anything we have. Each battle, we lose more than we win. Each year, the line of war moves closer to our core worlds. Da-hyun looked at Tova with desperate eyes. That is why we came here. We cannot defeat them alone. No species can. We need allies. We need the Valari. Tova stood up and walked to the window. She looked out at her beautiful capital city for a long time. You ask us to risk our people for your war, she finally said. You ask us to fight an enemy that has already proven it can destroy civilizations. Why should we take this risk? Somin stepped forward. This was her moment. Because the Devourers will not stop with humanity. Once they finish with us, they will come for you. They will come for every species in this part of the galaxy. Fighting with us now is not kindness. It is survival. Tova turned back to face them. I have read your ambassador's reports. I have heard her arguments. They are logical. They make sense. But logic is not enough to make my people risk their lives. She walked back to Don's bed and looked down at him. What convinced me was not logic. It was watching you fight Korak. It was seeing your scars and understanding what they meant. It was hearing you refuse to give up, even when you could not stand. She placed a hand on Do-Yoon's shoulder. Her touch was surprisingly gentle. The Valari respect strength. But I'm beginning to understand that there are different kinds of strength. Your kind of strength, the strength to survive and keep fighting no matter what, is something we do not have. Something we need to learn. Do-hyun felt hope rising in his chest. Does this mean you will help us? It means I will speak to the council. I will tell them what I have seen. I will argue for the alliance. Tova paused. But there is something else. Something I need you to do. Anything. Korak wishes to speak with you. Do-hyun blinked in surprise. The champion he had defeated wanted to talk. Why? That is for him to tell you. But I believe it is important. Will you meet with him? Despite his injuries, despite the pain, Do-hyun nodded. I will meet with him. Tova looked satisfied. Rest for now. Heal. The meeting with Korak will be tomorrow. And the council decision will be the day after. She left the room. Somin and Ji-woo stayed behind. This is good news, Somin said. Her voice was excited. If Tova speaks for us, the council will listen. We might actually succeed. Ji-woo nodded, but she was looking at Do-hyun with concern. Captain, you should rest. You are still badly injured. Do-hyun leaned back into the soft bed. His body was broken. Every movement hurt. But inside, he felt something he had not felt in a long time. Hope. We have not won yet, he said. But we are closer than we were. He closed his eyes and let sleep take him. Tomorrow he would meet with Korak. The day after, the council would decide. So much depended on the next few days. But for now, he rested. And he dreamed of a future where humans and Valari fought side by side against the darkness. When he woke again, it was morning. The purple sky of the Valari world was bright through the window. Ji-woo was asleep in a chair nearby. She had stayed with him all night. Do-hyun tested his body slowly. The Valari doctors had done good work. He could move his arms again. The pain was less. He was still far from healthy, but he was better. A guard came to take him to Korak. Do-hyun walked slowly through the crystal hallways. Every step reminded him of his injuries, but he did not show pain. He had shown enough weakness. Now he needed to show strength. The guard brought him to a simple room. Inside, Korak sat on a large chair designed for his massive body. The champion looked D. The silence in the arena lasted only a moment. Then Korak charged. The Valari champion moved faster than something that large should be able to move. His forearms reached out to grab Do-hyun. His massive body thundered across the sand like a living tank. Any normal creature would have been caught and crushed. But Do-hyun was not there. He moved to the side at the last instant. His body bent and twisted in a way that the Valari had never seen. Korak's arms grabbed empty air. The giant champion stumbled past, confused. The crowd made sounds of surprise. This was not what they expected. Korak turned around, his eyes narrowing. "You are fast for such a small creature. You are slow for such a big one," Do-hyun replied. Anger flashed in Korak's eyes. He charged again, this time sweeping all four arms in a wide pattern. There was no space to dodge. The arms came from every direction like closing walls. Do-hyun dropped to the sand. He rolled under the sweeping arms and came up behind the champion. Before Korak could turn, Do-hyun struck. His fist hit the back of Korak's leg, right where the shell pieces joined. It was a weak spot. The blow was precise and powerful. Korak roared in pain. His leg buckled for just a moment before he caught himself. He spun around and swung one massive arm at Do-hyun's head. Do-hyun ducked, but not fast enough. The arm caught his shoulder and sent him flying across the arena. He hit the sand hard and rolled several meters before stopping. The crowd clicked with excitement. First blood. The human was down, but Do-hyun stood up. His shoulder was already turning purple where the arm had hit him. The pain was intense, but he had felt worse. He had survived worse. "Is that all you have?" Do-hyun asked. Korak stared at him. The champion had hit many enemies with that arm. Most of them did not get up. The ones who did were never so calm about it. "You should stay down," Korak said. "The more you fight, the more you will suffer." "I have been suffering my whole life," Do-hyun said. "This is nothing new." He attacked. The crowd gasped. They had never seen a prey creature attack a predator before. Humans were supposed to be the weak ones. They were supposed to run and hide and beg for mercy. They did not charge at Valari champions with their bare hands. Do-hyun was fast. Much faster than Korak expected. His fists struck at joints and weak points. Each blow was calculated. Each movement had purpose. He was not trying to overpower the giant. He was trying to wear him down. One small wound at a time, Korak swung at him again and again. His forearms were a blur of motion. But Do-hyun was always just out of reach. He ducked and rolled and jumped. He twisted his body in ways that seemed impossible. The Valari fought with strength. Do-hyun fought with everything else. Minutes passed. Korak was getting frustrated. Sweat began to appear on his shell. He was not used to fights that lasted this long. Usually, his enemies were crushed in the first few seconds. Do-hyun was not unharmed. He had been hit several more times. One arm was not working correctly. Blood ran from a cut on his face. His body was covered in new bruises that joined the old scars. But he was still standing, still fighting, still moving. The crowd had stopped clicking. They watched in silence as the small human danced around their champion. This was not the easy victory they expected. This was something else entirely. Tova leaned forward on her throne. Her eyes followed every movement. She had never seen anything like this before. "Why do you not give up?" Korak demanded. He was breathing hard now. His movements were slower. The small wounds Do-hyun had given him were adding up. "You cannot win. You must know this. You are weaker than me in every way." "Every way?" Do-hyun's voice was steady despite his injuries. "You are stronger. You are bigger. You have natural armor. But let me tell you something about humans." He moved as he spoke, never stopping, never staying still long enough for Korak to grab him. "We are the weakest creatures in our part of space. We know this. We have always known this. The animals on our home planet were faster than us, stronger than us, had sharper claws and teeth. By all logic, we should have died out long ago. Korak swung at him, missed, swung again, missed. But we survived. We learned to make weapons because we had no claws. We learned to make clothes because we had no fur. We learned to work together because one human alone was food for predators. Everything we are, we built from nothing. Another strike to Korak's joint. The champion roared in pain. Your strength is something you were born with. It is a gift. But our strength is something we earned. Every tool, every weapon, every piece of armor, every ship that brought us to the stars, we built with our own hands because we had no choice. Dalan stopped moving. He stood still in front of Korak, his body broken and bleeding, but his eyes bright and fierce. You laugh at our armor because you do not understand. We do not wear armor because we are weak. We wear armor because we already know we are weak. And knowing that, accepting that, working around that, is what makes us strong. Korak stared at him. For the first time, something other than contempt appeared in the champion's eyes. Something like understanding. Or perhaps fear. You talk too much, Korak said. But his voice was uncertain. Then stop me. Korak charged one final time. He put all his remaining strength into the attack. All four arms reached for the human. His massive body was like a falling mountain. There was no way to dodge this time. No space to escape. Dalyun did not try to escape. He ran toward the attack. The crowd screamed. This was suicide. The human was running directly into death at the last instant. Do-hyun dropped to his knees and slid across the sand. He passed under Korak's arms, under his body. As he slid, he struck upward with both hands. His fingers found a gap in Korak's shell at the stomach, the softest spot on the Valari body. The blow was not strong enough to kill. Humans did not have that kind of strength. But it was strong enough to hurt. Strong enough to shock. Strong enough to make Korak's body freeze for just one moment. That moment was all Do-hyun needed. He came up behind the champion and jumped onto his back. His arms wrapped around Korak's neck. His legs locked around the massive body. He squeezed Korak, tried to reach him, but his arms could not bend that way. He tried to shake him off, but Do-hyun held tight. He tried to slam backward into the arena wall, but Do-hyun twisted so that Korak hit the wall with his own back. The crowd was screaming now. This was impossible. A small human was choking their champion. The greatest warrior of the Valari was struggling like a caught animal. Korak's movements became slower. His eyes began to dim. The Valari did not need as much air as humans, but they still needed some. And Do-hyun was not letting any air through. Yield, Do-hyun said through gritted teeth. His whole body hurt. His arms were shaking with effort. He did not know how much longer he could hold on. Never, Korak gasped. Then sleep. Korak fought for another few seconds. Then his body went limp. He fell forward, and Do-hyun fell with him. They hit the sand together, the champion unconscious and the human barely conscious. The arena was completely silent. Do-hyun released his grip and rolled off the fallen champion. He tried to stand, but could not. His body had given everything it had. He lay on the sand, staring up at the purple sky, breathing hard. Valari medical workers rushed onto the arena floor. They checked Korak and confirmed he was alive, just unconscious. Then they looked at Do-hyun with something like wonder. Tova stood up from her throne. The movement made everyone look at her. She walked down from her high seat, through the rows of silent Valari, until she stood on the arena floor. She walked to where Do-hyun lay. She looked down at his broken, scarred, bleeding body. He looked back up at her with tired eyes. You won, Tova said. Her voice carried through the silent arena. Did I? Do-hyun's voice was weak, but still calm. I cannot feel my arms. Tova made a sound. It was not clicking. It was something else. It took Do-hyun a moment to understand what it was. She was laughing. But it was not mocking laughter. It was surprised laughter. Amazed laughter. The laughter of someone who has seen something incredible. You are the strangest creature I have ever met, Tova said. You cannot even stand, and you make jokes. Humans make jokes when we hurt, Do-hyun said. It is how we survive. Tova knelt down beside him. She placed one of her 4 hands on his chest, over his heart. It was beating fast but strong. Your shells are not your strength, she said slowly, as if realizing something for the first time. They never were. Do-hyun smiled through his pain. Now you understand. Tova stood up and turned to face the crowd. Thousands of Valari watched her, waiting for her words. I have been wrong, she announced. Her voice was strong and carried to every corner of the arena. We have all been wrong. We looked at humans and saw weak creatures hiding in metal shells. We laughed at them. We mocked them. She pointed down at Do-hyun. But look at this warrior. He came to us in a crashed ship. His armor was destroyed. His body was already injured. And still he fought our champion. Still he stood when any reasonable creature would have fallen. Still he refused to give up. The crowd was silent, listening. This is not weakness, Tova continued. This is something else. Something we do not have a word for. Something that makes humans survive when they should die. Fight when they should run. Hope when they should despair. She turned back to look at Do-hyun. What do you call this thing? This quality that makes your species what it is. Do-hyun thought about the question. Tomorrow would be the most important fight of his life. He needed rest, but as he drifted off to sleep, a small smile crossed Do-hyun woke up before the sun rose over the Valari capital. His body hurt everywhere. The bruises from the crash had turned dark purple during the night. His muscles were stiff and sore. But his mind was clear and focused. He sat up slowly and looked around the small room. Ji-woo was sleeping in the corner, her face troubled even in sleep. So-min was awake, sitting by the window, watching the alien city. You should sleep more, So-min said without turning around. You will need your strength. I have slept enough, Do-hyun replied. Too much rest makes the body soft. So-min finally turned to look at him. Her eyes were red. She had been crying. Captain, I must ask you something. Please be honest with me. I am always honest. Can you win this fight? Do-hyun was quiet for a moment. He thought about the question carefully. I do not know, he finally said. I have never fought a Valari champion. I do not know how strong they are or how they fight. Then why did you accept? Do-hyun stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the purple sky was turning lighter as the alien sun began to rise. The silver buildings caught the light and glowed like they were on fire. Do you know why I became a soldier? He asked. So-min shook her head. When I was a child, my home colony was attacked. I was 10 years old. The enemy came from the sky and burned everything. My parents died protecting me and my sister. We hid in a broken building for 3 days, eating nothing, drinking water from broken pipes. When the rescue ships finally came, there were only 17 survivors from a colony of 5,000 people. So-min said nothing. She just listened. My sister died 2 weeks later. Her wounds were too bad. The doctors could not save her. I was alone. Do-hyun's voice was steady, but there was old pain hidden in his words. I promised myself that day. I promised I would become strong. I would fight. I would make sure no other child would hide in the dark, waiting to die, hoping for help that might never come. That is why you joined the military. That is why I never give up, Do-hyun said. I could not save my family. But I can fight for other families. I can give them hope. And if I must die to give humanity a chance, then I will die gladly." Someone wiped her eyes. "You are a good man, Captain." "I am a human," Do-hyun said simply. "That is all I need to be." Ji-woo woke up and joined them. She looked at the captain with worried eyes, but she did not try to talk him out of the fight again. She understood now that his decision was final. "What can we do to help?" she asked. "Tell me everything you know about Valari combat," Do-hyun said. Ji-woo pulled out her cracked device and began reading. "The Valari are physically superior to humans in almost every way. They are stronger, faster, and have 4 arms instead of 2. Their shell gives them natural armor that can stop most weapons. They can see in the dark. They can hear sounds that humans cannot hear. Weaknesses?" Do-hyun asked. "Their joints. The places where the shell pieces meet are softer. Also, their eyes are sensitive to bright light. And they are not flexible. Their shells limit their movement." Dawn nodded. "What about their fighting style?" "They prefer direct combat. They use their strength and size to overwhelm enemies. They do not use weapons usually. They believe true warriors fight with their bodies." "Good," Do-hyun said. "That is useful." A knock came at the door. A Valari guard entered and spoke in his clicking language. "The High Commander wants to see the human warrior before the combat. Come with me." Do-hyun followed the guard through the crystal building. They walked down long hallways decorated with images of Valari history. He saw pictures of great battles and famous warriors. The Valari were proud of their strength. They believed they were the greatest fighters in the galaxy. The guard brought him to a large room where Tova waited. She was not wearing her formal decorations today. Instead, she wore simple cloth that showed more of her dark shell. "Leave us," she told the guard. They were alone. Tova walked around Do-hyun slowly, looking at him from every angle. She studied his face, his body, the way he stood. He did not move. He did not show fear. "You are different from other humans I have seen," Tova said. "How many humans have you seen?" "Enough. We have watched your species for a long time. You are strange creatures. Soft bodies. Short lives. You cannot survive in extreme temperatures. You cannot breathe underwater. You cannot see in the dark. You are weak in every way that matters." Do-hyun said nothing. "And yet," Tova continued, "you spread across the stars faster than any species we have ever seen. You build great cities and great machines. You fight wars that should destroy you, but you keep fighting. You are a contradiction." "We are survivors," Do-hyun said. Tova stopped in front of him. Her insect eyes looked into his human eyes. "I watched the recordings of your ship crash. Any other species would have died. You should have died. But here you are, standing before me, ready to fight. Death is not something humans fear." Tova made a clicking sound. This time, it did not sound like laughter. It sounded like interest. "That is what makes you dangerous. We Valari respect strength. We understand warriors who are fast and powerful. But you humans are different. You are weak, but you do not act weak. You are dying, but you do not stop fighting. This confuses us. Maybe that is why you laugh at us," Do-hyun said. "You do not understand, so you mock." Tova's eyes narrowed. "Be careful, human. You are brave, but do not be foolish. I am here to fight your champion. I did not come to be careful." For a long moment, Tova stared at him. Then she did something unexpected. She stepped back and showed her throat. Among the Valari, this was a sign of respect. "You have fire in you," she said. "I hope you do not die too quickly. It would be a waste." "I do not plan to die at all," Do-hyun replied. Tova clicked her mandibles. "We will see. The combat begins at midday. My guards will bring you to the arena. I hope your courage lasts longer than your body." She turned and left the room. Do-hyun returned to his companions. They were eating food that the Valari had brought. It looked strange but smelled acceptable. He sat down and ate slowly, forcing himself to consume more than he wanted. His body needed fuel for the fight. What did the High Commander want? Someone asked. "She wanted to understand me," Do-hyun said. "She does not know what to make of humans." "Did you learn anything useful?" "Yes. The Valari are not sure about us. They laugh because they do not understand. But underneath the laughter, there is fear." Ji-woo looked surprised. "Fear? The Valari fear us?" "Not fear like we would feel, but uncertainty. They have never met a species like us. We do not fit their understanding of the universe. We are weak, but we keep winning. We are soft, but we survive. This bothers them. So they challenge you to combat to prove that we are weak," Soman said. "Yes, if their champion kills me easily, they can tell themselves that humans are nothing special. They can ignore us and feel safe." Do-hyun finished his food and pushed the plate away. "But if I fight well, if I show them something they do not expect, everything changes." "You do not have to win," Ji-woo realized. "You just have to show them something new." Do-hyun smiled slightly. "Now you understand." The hours passed slowly. Do-hyun spent the time stretching his body and calming his mind. He practiced old martial arts forms that humans had developed over thousands of years. He moved slowly and carefully, feeling every muscle, every joint, every breath. Ji-woo watched him with growing respect. "I have never seen those movements before." "They are very old," Do-hyun said. "Humans have been fighting each other since before we had metal, before we had fire. We learned to fight with nothing but our bodies. We learned to use our weakness as a weapon." "How can weakness be a weapon?" "Because our enemies underestimate us. They see our soft skin and think we are easy to break. They see our small size and think we are easy to defeat. But they forget that soft things can be flexible. Small things can be fast. What looks like weakness can be strength." At midday, the guards came for them. They walked through the streets of the capital toward a massive circular building. This was the arena. Thousands of Valari were gathered outside, clicking and shouting. They had all come to see the human fight. The noise was incredible. The clicking of mandibles sounded like a great machine. The Valari were excited. They expected a show. They expected to see a weak human crushed by their champion. Inside the arena, the noise was even louder. The seats rose up in circles around a sandy floor. Every seat was filled. In the center of the highest section, Tova sat on a special throne. She looked down at the arena floor with cold eyes. Do-hyun walked out onto the sand. The crowd clicked louder. He could hear their mockery. He could see them pointing at him. He was small. He was soft. He was wearing simple clothes instead of his armor. Then the champion entered. From the other side of the arena, Do-hyun had expected something large and impressive. He was not disappointed. The champion was named Korak. He was the largest Valari that Do-hyun had ever seen. Almost 4 meters tall, with a shell so thick it looked like stone. His forearms were each as thick as Do-hyun's entire body. He moved with the confidence of a creature that had never lost a fight. The crowd went wild. They chanted Korak's name. They stamped their feet. The sound was like thunder. Korak walked to the center of the arena and looked down at Do-hyun. His eyes showed nothing but contempt. "This is the human warrior?" Korak asked. His voice was... The ship was falling apart. Captain Park Do-hyun could feel every shake and every scream of metal as his vessel broke through the atmosphere of the alien world. Warning lights flashed red everywhere. The computer voice kept saying the same words again and again. Hull damage. Engine failure. Impact in 60 seconds. Do-hyun held tight to his seat. His power armor was already damaged from the battle in space. The enemy ships had hit them hard before they could escape. Now the armor that covered his body was cracked in many places. Burn marks covered the chest plate. One arm piece was barely hanging on. But he was alive. That was what mattered. The ship hit the ground with a terrible sound. Everything went dark for a moment. When Do-hyun opened his eyes, he was hanging upside down in his seat. Blood dripped from a cut on his forehead. He could taste metal in his mouth. But he was still breathing. He freed himself from the seat and fell to the floor of the crashed ship. Every part of his body hurt. His armor made sounds of broken machinery with every move he made. The power systems were failing. Soon the armor would be nothing more than heavy metal weighing him down. Do-hyun looked around the wreckage. He found Ambassador Kira Soman lying near the back of the ship. She was unconscious but breathing. Her formal diplomatic clothes were torn and dirty. He checked her for serious injuries and found none. She would live. Lieutenant Han Ji-woo crawled out from under a fallen panel. Her face was covered in dust and small cuts. She looked at the captain and then at the state of his armor. Her eyes grew wide with worry. "Captain, your armor," she said. "It is destroyed." "I know," Do-hyun replied. His voice was calm. "But we are alive. That is what matters now." "The mission," Ji-woo said. "We were supposed to meet the Valari Council. We were supposed to ask them to join the human alliance against the invaders." Do-hyun nodded slowly. This mission was important. The Valari were a powerful species. They had technology that humans needed. They had weapons that could turn the war around. Without their help, humanity would lose the great war against the enemy that was destroying human colonies one by one. "We will still complete the mission," Do-hyun said. Ji-woo looked at him like he was crazy. "Captain, look at us. Look at you. Your armor is broken. We look like survivors of a disaster, not representatives of humanity." "We are survivors of a disaster," Do-hyun said simply. "And that is exactly what humanity is. We survive. We keep going. We do not give up." Ambassador Soman began to wake up. She groaned and held her head. When she saw the destruction around her, her face became pale. But she was a diplomat. She had been trained to stay calm in difficult situations. "How far are we from the Valari capital?" she asked. Ji-woo checked her device. It was cracked, but still working. 3 kilometers. "We can walk there." "Then we walk," Do-hyun said. The 3 humans left the crashed ship behind and began their journey. The Valari world was beautiful in a strange way. The sky was purple. The plants were tall and silver-colored. Strange birds flew overhead, making sounds that were almost like music. But Do-hyun could not enjoy the beauty. Every step was painful. His armor was heavy and broken. It no longer helped him move. Instead, it fought against him. The servos that should have made movement easy were dead. He was carrying almost 200 kilograms of useless metal on his body. Ji-woo noticed his struggle. "Captain, maybe you should remove the armor." "No," Do-hyun said. "We are meeting the Valari as representatives of humanity. They need to see what we are. They need to see our technology, even if it is damaged." Soman understood what he meant. First impressions were important. If they showed up without armor, the Valari might think humans were weak. At least with the armor, even broken armor, they showed that humans had advanced technology. The walk took 2 hours. By the time they reached the Valari capital, Do-hyun was exhausted. Sweat poured down his face inside the helmet. His muscles burned from carrying the dead weight of the armor. But he did not complain. He did not show weakness. The Valari capital was massive. Buildings rose high into the purple sky like silver needles. Flying vehicles moved between them in perfect patterns. Everything was clean and beautiful and advanced. Volari guards met them at the entrance to the city. The Volari were tall beings, almost 3 meters high. They had 4 arms and faces that looked like insects. Their skin was hard like shells. They looked at the 3 humans with eyes that showed no emotion. "You are the human delegation," one guard said. It was not a question. "Yes," someone answered. She straightened her torn clothes and tried to look dignified. "We are here to speak with the High Council." The guards looked at each other. One of them made a clicking sound with its mandibles. Do-hyun had studied Volari language. He knew that sound. It was laughter. They were laughing at them. The guards led them through the city. Everywhere they went, Volari stopped and stared. More clicking sounds followed them. More laughter. They looked at Do-hyun's broken armor. They pointed at the cracks and the burn marks. They saw the way he struggled to walk. Do-hyun kept his head high. He did not react to the mockery. He had faced worse things than alien laughter. The council chamber was the largest building in the city. It was round and made of some kind of crystal that glowed with inner light. Inside, hundreds of Volari sat in rising rows of seats. At the center was a raised platform where the High Council sat. The High Commander of the Volari was a female named Tova. She was larger than the other Volari. Her shell was darker, almost black. She had more decorations on her body than anyone else in the room. When she looked at the humans, her eyes were cold. "So these are the humans," Tova said. Her voice was deep and carried through the chamber. "These are the beings who asked for our help in their war." Somin stepped forward. "High Commander, we come in peace. We come to offer friendship and alliance between our peoples." Tova clicked her mandibles. The whole chamber filled with the sound of Volari laughter. "Look at you," Tova said. "Look at your warrior." She pointed at Do-hyun. "He cannot even stand straight. His shell is broken. He is weak. We had difficulties reaching your world," Somin explained. "Our ship was attacked and we crashed. But we still came. We still honored our meeting." "You came because you are desperate," Tova said. "We have watched your war. We have seen your colonies burn. We have seen your people die. You are losing." The chamber clicked with agreement. "And now you come to us wearing broken shells, asking us to save you." Tova leaned forward. "Why should we help a species so weak? Why should we risk our people for creatures who hide inside metal shells because their own bodies are so fragile?" Do-hyun listened to every word. He felt anger building inside him. But he stayed quiet. This was Somin's job. She was the diplomat. Somin tried to speak again. She talked about trade and technology and mutual benefit. She talked about the threat that would come to the Volari after humanity fell. She made every argument she had prepared, but the Volari just kept laughing. Every time she made a point, they clicked their mandibles. They looked at Do-hyun's broken armor and they laughed. Finally, Tova raised one of her 4 hands. The chamber became silent. "Enough," she said. "We have heard your words. They mean nothing. Words are easy. Any weak creature can speak pretty words." She stood up from her seat. "If you want our alliance, you must prove your worth. You must show us that humans are not the weak, fragile, shell-wearing cowards we believe you are." Somin looked worried. "What kind of proof do you want?" Tova smiled. At least, Do-hyun thought it was a smile. It was hard to tell with an insect face. "Combat," Tova said. "You're a warrior against our champion. If he wins, we will consider your alliance. If he loses, you will leave our world and never return." The chamber erupted in clicking laughter again. They all looked at Do-hyun. They looked at his broken armor. They looked at the way he struggled to stand. They thought this would be easy. They thought they had already won. Ji-woo grabbed Do-hyun's arm. "Captain, You cannot fight in your condition. Your armor is dead. You are exhausted. This is suicide. Do-hyun looked at the laughing aliens. He looked at Tova's cold, confident eyes. He thought about the human colonies burning. He thought about the families who would die if they failed this mission. He stepped forward. "I accept," he said. The laughter stopped. The chamber became silent. Every Valari stared at the human in the broken armor who had just agreed to fight their greatest warrior. Tova's eyes showed something new. Surprise, maybe. Or curiosity. "The combat will be tomorrow," she said. "Rest well, human. You will need it." The guards led them away to a small room where they would spend the night. As soon as the door closed, Jiwoo turned to Do-hyun. "Are you crazy?" she demanded. "You cannot win this fight. Your armor is useless. You are injured. Their champion will kill you." Do-hyun sat down slowly. He began removing parts of his broken armor. Each piece he removed felt like freedom. His body was covered in bruises and small cuts. Old scars covered his skin beneath the armor. Someone watched him with worried eyes. "Captain, maybe we can negotiate. Maybe there is another way." "There is no other way," Do-hyun said. "They do not respect us. They think we are weak. The only way to earn their respect is to show them what humans really are." "And what are humans?" Jiwoo asked. Do-hyun looked at her. His eyes were calm and certain. "Survivors," he said. "We are survivors." He lay down on the floor and closed his eyes.